Raider Nation, there is a snake in the house. He is a slithering little whiny snake that has been hating on the Raiders for far too long, but he has finally crossed the red line. His hatred for the Raiders, his hatred for our head coach, his hatred for the entire organization and the fan base has been laid out on full display with his most recent video smashing and hating on Antonio Peirce. This video, as I'm going to break down to you guys today, is nothing more than a hit piece hoping to somehow influence Mark Davis into firing Antonio Peirce. And I, for one, as a stalwart Raiders fan, will no longer stand by and allow this shill to continue to attack the Raiders while claiming to be a Raiders fan. Yes, indeed, I am talking about one Wi-Fi Little Willie talking nothing but absolute garbage out of the side of his neck without any understanding of how Antonio Peirce's business dealings and now his wife filing a bankruptcy claim has any merit or any validity and impact with the Raiders. Let's first break down the story and what's going on with Antonio Peirce. Antonio Peirce's wife just filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy due to some financial investments that Antonio Peirce made over 6 years ago with Nissan and Hyundai when him and a fellow teammate went and invested in some car dealerships with some of their money. Their loan was taken out, and the way that car dealership loans happen is they're not actually loaning money. They are giving the cars in advance and then charging the dealership interest for every day that the car sits on the lot. This loan apparently was worth $28 million. This is a very typical transaction that happens with car dealerships. Now, car dealerships are a risky investment because car dealerships have ups and downs. The car market has ups and downs. And the car dealerships now are in absolute panic mode because people are not buying new cars, particularly Hyundai, which is a garbage car. Nissan, not too bad when it comes to their trucks. I own a Nissan Titan. It's fantastic, but their cars and transmissions are garbage and nobody wants to buy them. So these dealerships that Antonio Peirce and his other investors have invested in have apparently gone under. And now Nissan is going back on Antonio Peirce saying, you're the guarantor of these loans and we want you to pay it all back immediately. Well, this is called a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing that his wife filed today. And that bankruptcy filing is a Chapter 11. This in the business world, which I know because I'm in the business world, is a strategic bankruptcy filing. Essentially, what this says is we are more than willing to pay this back. However, because the financial and the business did not go through the way that it was planned to, we are going to have to make some adjustments to the loan. This is going to be beneficial to Nissan and Hyundai because there's going to be a payment plan. However, the full amount of the loan with the cars is not going to be repaid no matter what. Even if they were to come in and liquidate all of Antonio Peirce's assets, at best, maybe they get $5 to $10 million of that $28 million back. But then they have to go through a whole process of selling his real estate, selling his cars, selling his wife's jewelry, whatever a value that they can come up with. It's not going to come anywhere near that $28 million if he were to file a Chapter 7, which is a complete bankruptcy. It's a personal bankruptcy. A Chapter 11 says, yes, we acknowledge the $28 million in debt and we have a plan to pay it back. However, we need to negotiate with Nissan and Hyundai to bring that $28 million down to something that is more manageable and get rid of the interest payments so that we can pay back, say, maybe half of it, 50%. The way that this works is the court will then assess the value of any assets that Antonio Peirce and his wife have, like their real estate investments, their house, and any other real estate they may have, cars, etc., including his 6'4 Impala. And then they're going to take that total amount, let's say it's $8 or $9 million plus whatever money he has in the bank, and they're going to say, okay, what can you afford to make a monthly payment to pay this back? Let's say it's $8 or $9 million, $10 million, maybe $15 million in assets in total value. So then they'll break that down into like a 6-year payment plan, and he'll make payments every single month. So that is a strategic business bankruptcy. Now they're filing it in the personal because Antonio Peirce was the guarantor towards these loans. This does not mean, one, that which is implied by Wi-Fi Willie's video, that Antonio Peirce is a shady guy, as he made allegations towards Antonio Peirce stealing from this loan. First of all, if I was Antonio Peirce, I'd have my lawyers slap an immediate cease and desist order against Wi-Fi Willie and sue him for libel, because that is absolutely untrue. And what Wi-Fi just did is tarnish his name and make a personal attack against Antonio Peirce, and you can be sued for that. So Wi-Fi, you might want to watch out, because you may end up getting sued by Antonio Peirce instead of Nissan and Hyundai suing him. Secondly, he goes to put all of the onus on Antonio Peirce and this bad business decision. No doubt, investing in a car business is very risky. And particularly right now, we have cars dealerships that are going bankrupt left, right, and center. Again, because of inflation, interest rates, and wages not going up, people are just not able to afford these new $100,000 cars, which 7 or 8 years ago you could get for $40,000, and the $40,000 cars you could get for $18,000 to $20,000. Nobody can afford that, so these dealerships are going bankrupt. That doesn't mean that Antonio Peirce is a shady business person. Next thing I want to address is that Wi-Fi Willie claims that this caliber of head coach with Antonio Peirce is only making $3 to $6 million a year at a three-year contract. First of all, Wi-Fi Willie, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, because nobody knows how much money Antonio Peirce is making. Secondly, he goes to say that Mark Davis is going to have to make a serious decision about Antonio Peirce's employment. So who are you? Are you saying that Antonio Peirce should be fired because of a business decision that he made that didn't pan out? Rich people file bankruptcy all the time, especially Chapter 11. Now, smart business people do not do personal guarantees. Everything is based on the business. Heck, we've had a president, Donald Trump, file bankruptcy multiple times in his career as a real estate guy. So that doesn't mean that once you file bankruptcy, your entire life is over and that you're going to be working for free, like Wi-Fi Willie says, that Antonio Peirce will basically be, I don't know, eating ramen noodle, living in a one-bedroom motel room while head coach of the Raiders. No, man, you completely do not know what you're saying. And the fact that you're going to go after and make a hit piece towards Antonio Peirce, a coach who is beloved by our team, a coach that has our team hyped up and the fan base hyped up like me, that means that you are not a Raiders fan. You are a shill. You are an imposter. You only make videos about the Raiders because you want the clicks, because you're trying to make that $100 a day, which is what you're making off of your videos. And I know how much you make off your videos because I make YouTube videos myself. Unlike you, I don't need YouTube to pay my bills. I have my own business. You, on the other hand, Wi-Fi Willie, don't know anything about business. So my advice to you would be shut your little mouth before you go talking about Antonio Peirce and the Raiders, because you're not a Raiders fan. You don't bleed silver and black. You don't know anything about the Raiders. Go be a Saints fan. Oh, wait, they don't want you either.